I recently ended a video telling you guys about two royalty companies, and at the same time, I said that I was going to name them later. Now, a few of you guys probably already guessed this, but the first one that I'm going to talk about is Altius. Altius Minerals has been at this for a long time. I recently spoke with CEO Brian Dalton, and he had a lot to say about the state of the mining industry, as well as base metals and critical metals prices and where they might be going. It's a great interview. Check it out if you haven't already, and I'm going to put the link in the description. Brian was one of the founding directors of Altius in 1999, and he spent the past 25 years getting the very most out of all types of different mining markets. Today, I'm going to talk about why I like Altius and why I think that it is a royalty company that you've really got to like for the upcoming mining bull cycle that I believe we are just entering. All right, folks, let's dive in. One of the things I have to start talking about here is share structure and how important it is if you're looking for a stock that can appreciate considerably. After 25 years in the Canadian mining market, Altius only has 46.4 million shares outstanding. This is really important. I can go through case study after case study of stocks that have had 100x returns, and they all have that same trait in common. And that is that their share count basically stays flat. Whether we're talking about Constellation Software or Expel Technologies, I can go on and on. Anyways, Altius has never been rolled back to facilitate a raise. Neither have they expanded their float to feed a trading frenzy. And when the Altius Treasury prints stock, it's usually to buy something, and quite frankly, Altius is pretty good at what they're going to buy. This is a crew of geologists and engineers using the public markets to get the absolute most out of their mining assets. Altius's head office isn't in Toronto or Vancouver. It's in St. John's, Newfoundland, probably in the same building that they've been in since the beginning. The management section of the website features a picture of the management team sitting in, is that some kind of a field office? Notice there's not a single tie in sight. In a lot of ways, Altius is the bizarro junior mining company. Instead of using the liquidity in their public listing, wringing out every ounce of cash from their exploration success and watching promoters make off with half of it, Altius uses that public listing to give their assets optionality and organize their interest in a way that creates the most value, then use that value to create even more value. The thing to really understand in the royalty business isn't geology or exploration, though that helps. The thing to understand is the net present value of cash flows. Altius bought a 0.3% NSR in the Voisey's Bay mine in 2003 for $13.6 million in cash and stock. Inco bought the Voisey's Bay Massive Sulfides project off of the company that discovered and developed it, Diamond Fields, 7 years earlier, in 1996, for $4.3 billion. And 0.3% of $4.3 billion is just under $13 million. So it seemed like the price was right. At the time, the main deposit, the Oveja, contained 30 million tons of ore grading 2.85% nickel, 1.68% copper, and 0.14% cobalt. In 2003, copper went for 75 cents a pound and nickel for $3.80 a pound. So the gross metal value of 30 million tons was somewhere around $8.2 billion, 0.3% of which is somewhere around $24 million. And there was plenty of potential for expansion. Voisey's Bay is one of the best and highest grade massive sulfide deposits in the world. The Voisey's Bay royalty has paid Altius an average of $4.2 million per year since 2020, and after 18 years of production, there's still 30 million tons of reserves there. Current productions have Voisey's Bay producing beyond 2030. By some measures, Altius got lucky. They bought something that they knew was good, and the market moved to make it great. But that's not the point. The point is that they knew enough to identify the value and buy it for the right price. Altius talks a lot about cycles and counter-cyclical investment, which is just another way of saying buy when it's cheap, sell into the frenzy. And I think even Brian Dalton would admit that he can't pick out market tops and bottoms. Nobody can. But a royalty holder doesn't have to identify a top. They can identify the top by the size of the check they're getting. The trick to it is keeping the costs down. And Altius does that with what you might call a DIY method of investing. Altius has no problem spending cash for royalties when the price is right. but they're also constantly generating mineral interest through exploration. They'll often stake some ground or acquire it cheaply, do some prospecting or drilling, maybe alone or maybe with a partner, then vend that project into another exploration company for stock and keep a royalty. That way, some other company can take the development risk. Altius's prospect generation is more active when metal prices are low and there's less competition. They've been hard at work over the past 10 years or so doing just that. Now that metal prices are on another tear, Altius finds themselves holding somewhere around $65 million worth of equity in the exploration companies that they partnered with to generate royalties. Altius doesn't get the same kind of attention that the other mid-major royalty companies like Osisko or Sandstorm get for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, they don't seek a profile. Altius has had the same unpolished look since they first started in 2003, and I think they might even have the same website. They don't have a US listing and don't expect to pursue one to make friends with the sell side anytime soon. They're more focused on running their business than cultivating a polished look. Secondly, there's no precious metals focus. In fact, there's no metals focus at all. Altius's paying royalties by order of revenue generated are in battery metals, potash, iron ore, and renewable energy. They bought their first taste of potash royalties from Sherritt International in 2014, then bought out one of their other partners in 2018. They got together with Apollo Global Management in 2019 to make a company that finances wind, solar, and hydro builds and keep royalty interests in those. Altius Renewables was listed in 2021 at a $271 million valuation. And today they are being bought out by Northampton Capital Partners at a $391 million valuation. But here is the kicker. Altius plans on keeping their stock and the associated royalty income with it, which works out to $2 to $3 million per quarter in a vehicle Altius now owns 57% of. There's no precious metals focus because Altius isn't chasing the gold bull. They don't care where the income comes from. All they care about is buying it or generating it at the right price. And in the course of that work,
somehow this avowed non-precious metals royalty company finds itself with a royalty on. There'd be two that I'd keep an eye on. One is we have a royalty on this project called Silicon in Nevada. It's an Anglo-Gold Ashanti discovery. Quite a remarkable one, it seems like. Potentially, biggest gold discovery in the US, if not the world.
Try to contain your excitement, Brian. That was Brian talking about the Silicon Gold project in Nevada. We're talking about 4 million ounces here, operated by Anglo Ashanti, and this project will probably see production in the next 3 years. Oh yeah, it's also wide open. Any of those mid-tier royalty companies would murder to get a royalty on the Silicon project. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if countercyclical Altius ends up selling the royalty to one of those other royalty companies at the top of the market. Altius knows who they are, and they aren't too concerned about whether the market understands them. They've got enough cash and credit to achieve their growth targets and a strong record of putting the rest of their money onto the bottom line for shareholders. In terms of total yield, Altius is 25% ahead of the next highest yielding royalty company, except for one, which we're going to tell you guys about in our next video. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching this video. And I didn't say it at the beginning, but I got to say it. Happy New Year if you're following all of our content. If you are long Altius or you got thoughts on this company, please let us know in the comments section. And again, guys, stay tuned for that next royalty company. Thanks for watching, everybody.